Jason Miller adjusted his tie nervously as he stepped out of the subway into the busy streets of Manhattan. The city roared around him, cars honking, people rushing, the distant echo of sirens, but all he could think about was the interview. This was not just another job opportunity, it was the opportunity. As a single father raising his 6-year-old daughter Lily, Jason had spent years juggling part-time jobs, late-night freelance work, and constant financial stress. Today felt like his turning point. The moment everything could finally change, he glanced at his watch and quickened his pace. He had exactly 15 minutes to reach the glass tower where the interview would take place. He imagined Lily's smile if he got the job, her excitement, her pride. That thought alone pushed him forward faster. As he crossed a crowded intersection, something unusual caught his attention. A woman in a business suit stumbled near the sidewalk and suddenly collapsed. People slowed down, some staring, others whispering, but no one stepped forward. Jason froze for a split second, his mind racing. If he stopped, he would almost certainly miss the interview. If he didn't, he couldn't ignore it. He exhaled sharply and made his decision. Rushing toward her, he knelt beside the woman. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" he asked gently. Tapping her shoulder, there was no response. Panic flickered in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. He quickly dialed emergency services, explaining the situation as clearly as he could. His eyes kept drifting to his watch, each passing second feeling heavier than the last. He loosened her collar slightly and checked her breathing, recalling basic first aid he had learned years ago. A small crowd began to gather, but Jason stayed focused, speaking reassuringly even though she couldn't respond. "Help is coming, you're going to be okay," he murmured. Minutes felt like hours until the ambulance finally arrived. Paramedics rushed in, taking over the situation. One of them thanked Jason as they carefully lifted the woman onto a stretcher. Jason stepped back, his heart still pounding, watching as the ambulance doors closed and sped away. Only then did reality hit him. He looked at his watch and felt his stomach drop. The interview, he was too late. Jason sat quietly on a bench outside the towering office building, staring at the ground as the weight of the day settled over him. His shirt was slightly wrinkled, his tie loosened, and his hope nearly gone. He had already spoken to the receptionist, who politely informed him that the interview panel had moved on. It was over the opportunity he had been preparing for, dreaming about sacrificing for gone in a matter of minutes. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. Thoughts of Lily filled his mind again. What would he tell her? That he had been so close yet still came up short. A part of him questioned his decision, wondering if he had made a mistake, but deep down, he knew he couldn't have walked away from someone in need. Still, the disappointment lingered heavily in his chest. Just as he was about to leave, his phone rang. Unknown number. He hesitated for a moment before answering. "Hello. Jason Miller speaking." "Mr. Miller, this is from Hartwell Technologies. We'd like you to come back upstairs. The interview is not over." Jason blinked in confusion. I'm sorry, I was told please come to the executive floor. Someone would like to meet you moments later. Jason stepped into a private elevator, his heart racing with uncertainty. When the doors opened, he was guided into a sleek office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Sitting behind a large desk was a familiar face. It was her, the woman he had helped earlier that day. She looked completely different now, composed, confident, powerful. She stood up with a warm smile. "Mr. Miller," she said, extending her hand, "I believe we've already met." Jason stood frozen for a moment, struggling to process what he was seeing. "You're the CEO," she finished gently. "And today you showed me something. No resume ever could," she explained. How she had been rushing to the office when she suddenly felt dizzy and collapsed. She remembered fragments. His voice, his calm presence, his refusal to leave. "Most people kept walking," she said softly. "But you didn't." Jason tried to find words, but none came. She smiled again. "We look for talent here, but more importantly, we look for character. You gave up your biggest opportunity to help a stranger. That tells me everything I need to know." She slid a folder across the desk. "I'd like to offer you the job." Jason stared at it, overwhelmed, realizing that the moment he thought he had lost everything was actually the moment that changed his life forever.